And now it's time for our press review. It's a pleasure to have with us our guest, Dr. Wasfy, Professor of Political Marketing. First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
As usual, we're going to take a look at the main headlines of our Egyptian dailies. And let me start by taking a look at the banner of Al-Ahram newspaper. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said during a seminar at a Cairo Police Academy on Thursday that individual violations by Egypt's police should not take a toll on the rapport between the people and the security apparatus. El-Sisi's remarks came amid increased reports of torture at police stations in recent weeks. Egypt's Interior Ministry has maintained it respects human rights at reports of violations and abuses represent isolated incidents. We have more details in the following report and we'll be back.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi delivered a speech during his visit to the police academy in which he hailed the performance and the sacrifices of the armed forces and police forces. Before starting his speech, the president called for observing a minute of silence to mourn the police martyrs. El-Sisi praised police forces for securing the parliamentary elections. The head of state added that he held a constructive dialogue with students of the academy. El-Sisi emphasized the significance of maintaining the unity and security of the country. The president on Thursday pledged to punish police officers who make mistakes. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said that isolated incidents do not reflect on the conduct of the whole police force, which is keeping the country safe. But the president acknowledged the difficulties in maintaining the rule of law in Egypt as the country struggles with a rising insurgency. El-Sisi told the police cadets on Thursday that they have the right to take care of and defend the institution of the police, but when with keeping a close eye on the forces and defending it, he asked them to be fair.
Welcome back. So, first of all, talking about this visit that was not planned for, of course, in the very beginning, how important it is, especially during this period of time when people started again to talk about some violations. And we were just discussing right now off air because I've saw many videos actually on social media talking about different fields that they have many violations, but no one talk about such violations. We always talk about things that under the spot, just as you mentioned. But the point is that the police are not the only side that they can have some problems or violations, because if we have someone who is bad, we have another man that who respects rules. For example, like doctors. Sometimes we have doctors who violate and the patient die. And this is another important issue. Like an engineer, it doesn't mean that we did not start to talk about doctors as all doctors are bad, all engineers are bad. Why? Why this?
Even our accountants and whatever
fields.
The fields, yeah.
The person in general, human beings.
Human beings, there's nothing guaranteed that all people are good doing their job at a good way. Each and every field has the good example and the bad one. Why we focus and monitor on that specifically at policemen, it's quite good enough to focus on them in order to take, as that is a deviation that need to be corrected. And also policemen and doctors and engineers deal with the society, so we focus on them especially because they maybe deal in the soul, the life and death of citizens in general. But you know, policemen, we did not pay to policemen in order to serve me, but his duty is to serve. That's why I think we focus on their attitudes and how.
But when we pay to someone to serve,
and
he doesn't serve you, I think this is also going to be an issue.
It's a disaster, as you said, at the field of doctors and the health care file here in Egypt, and even governmental hospitals and private one. And I think no one in Egypt has passed by, each one of us passed by an experience at a private or a governmental hospital, and we had a bad and a good experience. But I think that the bad experience, we see a lot of doctors and a lot of examples. And by the way, citizens use the same way in order to promote those actions through Facebook. You may find a lot of stories. One was writing about his sister or his brother that he died from medical error caused by a doctor. But what about the actions of the government towards those doctors? What are about the actions taken by the hospital towards that doctors? Really nothing care, and we did not focus a little. But we have to focus in all fields, as you said.
What I want to say, at the end, we are all Egyptian citizens, we are all human beings, and everything must be taken by law.
Yes.
But talking about the visit, I think this visit can satisfy Egyptian citizens. Do you believe it is so, or how do you read it?
A little bit. Why I'll tell you. Always we focus on the attitude of policemen in Egypt, as that attitude really is monitored after the 25th of Jan revolution, and it's not only we focus as Egyptians, but also by all over what is the attitude of the Egyptian army and what is the attitude of policemen, which is the key security here in Egypt. So that attitude, or citizens must see that they changed, that they are taking positive actions, deal in a good way, deal in a respectable way, so in ethical even way, even if we did not accuse over them, or did not accuse them by each and every incident. So they passed by a lot of things, but really that happened. You know, maybe why not? That visit is very important to know where's the error, and let's develop those policemen. They need to be trained, by the way. They need to be trained in order how to communicate, even if like doctors and engineers and whatever the field.
Sometimes I feel we all need to be trained, actually.
Yes.
Well, let me move on to another headline. This time I'll take it from Al Masri Al-Yawm. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met on Thursday with a number of businessmen and investors. The meeting was attended by the Prime Minister, Governor of Egypt's Central Bank, and a number of ministers. El-Sisi asserted that there will be neither confiscation nor nationalization for the assets of the business tycoons. Very important as well, talking about investments in Egypt, and whenever we talk about investments, we have to talk also about facilities that you are going to offer to businessmen. And I always say that we can work on Egyptian businessmen. They are more than enough if they can do something here, because they are doing a lot outside Egypt.
Yes, of course. And what I would like to talk about, the word that the President El-Sisi said last week when he inaugurated the projects that will be on the side of Suez Canal. And he said and he stated that there are a lot of projects that is still not announced yet, or he did not announce what achievement that will be taken. But investment in Egypt, you know, now we are living a very critical time from the political side in Egypt, because we are going to start parliament, the real official parliament, Egyptian, which is 2015 parliament, and let's wait and see how all candidates became members now in parliament and how they will deal. We are close to 25th of Jan anniversary in order to celebrate, but we have to wake up, because there are some calls on Facebook from certain people calling for demonstrations again, and I think that the government discussed that and know that, and the president gave a hidden hint in his word that there are people who are planning for violence, attack, or booms, or disturbances, or attacking the political stability of Egypt. So I think that we are aware, and we as citizens too, we have to be aware of those people who are calling for demonstrations again on 25th of Jan. Of course, we need to move. We need to move forward. We need to invest. We need to invent. We need to develop our country. We need to focus on the educational level, healthcare, as you said, each and every file. Demonstrate, ask for your right, but not for what you are writing on social media right now, and all of us must be aware of those statements.
I think also when you talk about this, it is very important when it comes to students and youth,
Yes.
because I remember yesterday I was talking also about something that has to do with ill position, that we need to understand what is ill position in Egypt. We
Yes.
don't understand it, and it looks like this is the same in Arab countries. Some people, they understand or they believe that ill position, we must carry weapons. No, if you want to say no, you present your paper, you say no for this and this and this, I have other solutions, and you have to wait. And and to deal with it in a democratic way. Democracy we are asking for does not mean demonstrations all the time.
Yes.
But it looks like some people, they like the atmosphere.
Yes, of course, and some other people
Are using them.
Yes, using them in order to deliver their own hidden, unstable acts that he would like to use them and brainwash them and be hidden between
And this
them.
again will take us to the other point that we
Yes.
have to work on our youth.
Yes, yes, it's a must, really. That's why I really focus about each and every campaign among universities. Those students are the power of Egypt.
And we have many positive, actually, models for the students.
Seriously,
Right.
among all universities.
Promising students.
Yes, of course.
Moving on to another headline, Prime Minister Sherif Ismail heads Egypt's delegation that will participate in China-Africa Cooperation Forum, which is hosted by Johannesburg. Many African leaders shall participate in that forum. In his speech at the forum, Ismail will underline the importance of the African-Chinese cooperation and the ways to push it for further horizons. This is also important as well because we have really deep relations with China, but we need to arrange, to organize, to work on this, to take benefit, because it has to be a win-win situation. Not only Egypt to be a hub for China, for their products, but we need to work hard on such a win-win situation.
Yes, of course, the Egyptian market is full of China products, but we can highlight that, and also we can change the awareness about that China products is low quality. You may find brands made in China, and it is offered here in the Egyptian market. So not all the products of China is low quality. That's why it is offered in
But
Egypt.
in China, they have very high quality all around the
Yes.
world, actually.
But
it has to do with Egyptians who are buying such things.
That's why, yes, we have got that info and working on it as those China products is low. But really, there are brands in many different products which is a very high quality. And let's not only focus on investment or cooperation between China, let's talk about China and the number of population there and how they use it in a positive way. We here have a great number of population. We are about 99 million, I think. So it's a great power. It's not
Invest in them.
Yes, invest in human resources. That is our really, let's call it raw material, or the coming of raw material that we have to use in order to develop and construct and be a developed country. So not only taking China as a model for cooperation in terms of investment and products, but also what it did in its managing the country and the power it got from its human resources.
Right, moving on to أخبار اليوم. Antiquities Minister Mamdouh El-Damati will inaugurate the Cairo International Airport Museum on Monday. According to the minister, the new museum will host a selection of 38 ancient items from the Egyptian Museum in down Cairo, the Coptic Museum as well, and the Museum of Islamic Art. Well, I believe that they are trying to make something interesting at the airport. This is something good, but how do you read it?
Of course, the Islamic art, we have unique things that we have to focus on and to present it to all people. And even in the airports, that's delivering a good image of what we have got.
Right. As for Al Ahram newspaper, Egyptian authorities opened the Rafah border crossing on both sides for 2 days, starting on Thursday, but only for humanitarian cases and for the transfer of aid to the Gaza Strip. Egyptian authorities coordinated with the Palestinian side to open the crossing for students, medical patients, humanitarian cases, and those carrying residence permits in Egypt.
Always, I have concern about that.
That's why
Yes.
I looked at you.
Yes, I know. When I read that new, really, I have concern with why opening the Rafah borders right now, and even if how you will monitor all people, and not all people will make use that they are a humanity case and they need to pass. Really, I have a great number of brainwashed, and we have talked about Libya and the Daesh group, and even if I think I can remember when we discussed Egyptians who were living at Libya and came back to Egypt, We have to monitor them and put them under observation for maybe 6 or 7 months in order to know their attitude after coming back here to Egypt. Are they still loyal to Egypt, or they are brainwashed by Daesh group, for
And
example?
sometimes psychologically, when you suffer a lot or you just face such challenges, difficulties in your life, you are not in a stable peace
Yes.
of mind. So you cannot control your actions or reactions as well.
Yes, and always when we talk about that topic or that opening of Rafah border, we have some incidents after it, or some violence scenes that happen after it, even by 1 week or two. So I'm with it, really. But on the other hand, yes, there are a lot of negative actions that may happen, and I would like to ask all people who are securing that to be aware enough, not only that persons are not carrying weapons. This is not that important right now.
Because the weapons will be
come.
smuggled from the tunnels or from
Yes.
wherever, and we all know this.
What about his carrying in his own brain? This is what is more important, what he's thinking about, what he are planning for. Not only each and everyone do not act in that way. So we have to wake up even to each and everyone who's possible.
Right, as for Al-Wafd newspaper, we're going to take another headline. Egyptian stocks continue to rally on Thursday following the central bank decision to clear the backlog for foreign investors, as well as yesterday's announcement of an exceptional foreign currency auction to be held soon. We have more details in the following report, and we'll be back.
Egyptian stocks continued to rally on Thursday following the central bank's decision to clear the backlog for foreign investors, as well as yesterday's announcement of an exceptional foreign currency auction to be held soon. Benchmark index EGX 30 increased 1.95% to 6,779 points, with daily stock turnover at £643.6 million. In the first clear step since starting his tenure this week, Tariq Amer, the central bank governor, cleared on Tuesday the entire backlog owed to foreign investors with 547.2 million Egyptian pounds. The bank also plans an exceptional auction soon to boost dollar liquidity, according to the presidency. Market bellwether Commercial International Bank increased 1.52% to 45.86 Egyptian pounds per share. Non-Arab foreign investors continued to be net sellers to the tune of 37.8 million pounds, with the highest turnover in the main index worth around 115 million pounds. Egyptian leading investment bank EFG Hermes gained 2.5%. Broader index EGX 70 inched up 0.7%.
Welcome back. We were talking about the stock market, and actually I want to move on also to another headline from Al Ahram Online. The Egyptian pound held steady at an official foreign currency auction on Thursday and was stable on the black market as the central bank outlined changes to its allocation mechanism at its regular dollar auctions. Egypt, which is depending on imports of food and energy, is facing a dollar shortage and mounting pressure to devalue the pound. The central bank surprised markets when it strengthened the pound on November 11 by 20 piastres against the dollar. How do you read this?
No, I have said before aloud that the stock market is affected, or any change in the Egyptian pound or the dollar here in Egypt is affected by the political situation and the investment in Egypt. We have got a lot of businessmen that had great projects in Egypt, but we would like to ask them to invest more here in the Egyptian market, to encourage more Egyptian youth in order to have their own projects, and we call it entrepreneurs right now, having a small project in order to encourage the export and imports products.
Small and medium enterprises are the pillars of building the economy of the country.
Yes, and we have to focus on that, and also we have to train youth in order how to have their own business. Right now, it's not having a job or to be employee is the best thing, but having your own business, managing your own business, having your own profit, that will affect all the Egyptian market in a good way. Talking about the Egyptian pound and the dollar and the changes that happen, it's yes, according to the political situation Egypt is facing, but also we have to monitor that not only Egypt is the only country who is facing terrorism or facing some political issue.
When it comes to terrorism, now it is all around
the world, each and everything.
Right. Dr. Walaa Wasfy, Professor of Political Marketing, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for your.
All right, now moving on to a quick break, and we'll be back to resume the breakfast show.